What is up? We are back on this Tuesday, April 27th. Shout out to my mom. Happy birthday, Mom. Love you. Episode
Happy birthday,
50,
Mom.
episode 56 of Football Life presents the Audible GOAT edition. 40 years ago on this day, the New York Giants selected the greatest defensive football player of all time in Lawrence Taylor. Matt Bushnell, who reminds you of number 56?
Oh, God. For the Bears, Bill Hewitt. But for the White Sox, Mark Burley.
Okay.
It's a perfect game. No hitter. I'm going to go with the White Sox.
I like it. We have a special episode for you today. We're doing our very first ever live mock draft, and we have a special guest. You see him on your screen, Lukas Albert, a new Football Life admin. Lukas, welcome to the Audible. How you doing?
Pretty good, and thanks for having me. Ready to draft. Ready to go draft.
Yes, so Lukas is a tortured Minnesota Vikings fan, so it's going to be nice to have him on the show to talk about some Vikings. He's going to pick for the Vikings, and I should add, all of us are going to pick for our respective teams, but I should mention before the draft, or before this mock draft, the Giants, my New York Giants, traded with Matt Bushnell's Chicago Bears. The Giants moving back to 20 and getting a third-round pick this year, while the Bears move up to pick 11. So we'll see what the Bears are looking to do there at 11. I think they have their eyes on a quarterback. But Matt Bushnell, let's get it started off here. You were picking first, and the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock.
Yes, they are. Give me a moment. We are getting it booted up.
Yes, and this isn't going to come as a surprise, the first two picks most likely, but we'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on the Facebook Live comment section. Let us know who you want your team to pick, or maybe some surprises here and there. But this whole draft process, it seems to me that the first two picks are basically locks. And you can love Zach Wilson or not, but it seems like he's going second overall. Lukas, I haven't gotten a ton of your thoughts on the draft process here, but besides Lawrence, do you love any of these quarterbacks?
I do really like Trey Lance. I think the small school thing is hard to tell. But I think Wentz, I mean, if you take out the injuries and some of the little indecisive with Wentz, I think he's still been really solid if I kind of compare him to that, just being from a small school. But I really like Lance. Fields, maybe. I can't tell. He's kind of a crapshoot with me. It just seems like I can't tell, honestly. But and Wilson, I honestly have not seen a lot of tape on Wilson. But obviously, he's pretty much a consensus number 2 pick. So, I'd really sit outside alone. Pretty much Trey Lance, I think is going to be something.
All right, you're a big Trey Lance guy. I don't think I'm necessarily the biggest Trey Lance guy, but if you're looking at the success rate, as our Corey Decker points out in the comment section, the success rate for North Dakota State University quarterbacks is probably better in the NFL than Ohio State quarterbacks. So if you wanted to give Trey Lance a shot, you might have better odds than if you gave Justin Fields a shot. Matt Bushnell, how are we looking here with the mock draft simulator?
All right, we are up and running. The Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. Just so everyone kind of knows the rules, everyone gets 5 minutes to make a pick. I seriously doubt we're all going to be using the 5 minutes. As we all know, Trevor Lawrence is a slam dunk, number 1 overall pick for so many right reasons. So without any further ado, in the 2021 Football Life mock draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars are selecting Trevor Lawrence, quarterback, Clemson.
All right, Matt. This doesn't come to any surprise to anyone here. Trevor Lawrence, we've talked about him on the show, is heralded as the best quarterback prospect in the last 10 years. Probably the best one since Luck, and even before that, the best one since John Elway, which is high praise for a guy who only lost 2 games in his collegiate career. Matt, you're the tape guy. You break it down. You understand this stuff more than anyone else I know. Tell me why Trevor Lawrence is as can't miss of a quarterback prospect you've seen in the last several decades.
You can take a look at a lot of the things. His mechanics are flawless. He gets rid of the ball quickly. He has a fast release. His footwork is impeccable. He's able to read defenses. He's highly intelligent. A lot of the stuff that you'll see is some people may come out against him for, maybe he doesn't love football as much as you hoped he would. But at the end of the day, what makes Trevor Lawrence as special as he is, he's been in the big moments. He's been to college football's biggest stage multiple times, always in the spotlight, and has always performed. Trevor Lawrence has the arm talent, the accuracy talent, everything that you want. He's athletic. For a kid that's 6'6" to be able to move that he does and able to diagnose defenses where the zone is at, where the blitz is coming from, if they're playing man or man zone combo, it's one of the most elite quarterback prospects that you're going to see coming out of a draft or coming out of college into a draft since Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck's main staple was his intelligence. Andrew Luck doesn't have the athletic ability that Trevor Lawrence is coming in with. That's what makes Trevor Lawrence unique. He has the safest floor in the entire draft of any of these players. You know exactly what you're getting from day one. Trevor Lawrence, slam dunk, #1 pick.
The Jacksonville Jaguars getting their guy right off the top. And take notes, Jaguars, if you're watching. This does not have to take the entire allotted time. So on Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time, you do not have to waste everyone's time and take all 10 minutes. We know what you're picking. Just do us a favor and get it out of the way so we can move on with our lives. But yes, Trevor Lawrence, I cannot state it any better than Matt Bushnell did. So we're going to move on here. I am picking second for the New York Jets. And you know what? They seem to have made up their mind as well here. They desperately need a quarterback. They traded Sam Darnold, the former 3rd overall pick in 2018. Did not work out well for them. They have a new coaching staff in there. Joe Douglas, the GM, looks to turn things around. They want a whole new look here. And they want to bring in a guy that they believe could be I know I shared an article earlier, the Jets quarterback woes for the last 45 years. And it's always just trying to replace Namath. And our friend Jacob Anthony Moses said, like, stop trying to be Namath, just be yourself and be successful. They've had some flashes in the pan, Vinny Testaverde, Chad Pennington, but overall the Jets quarterback history is a long and pretty sad one when you consider that Ryan Fitzpatrick holds the single season passing touchdown record in 2015 in a season that they didn't even make the playoffs. So I don't love the guy, but I have no reason to believe they're not going to pick him. But the BYU quarterback, Zach Wilson, is going to be the pick here at number 2, Matt Bushnell. So you could put that on the board for me there. Zach Wilson, only 1 year as a starter, but really lit up his conference, has great arm talent, really makes things happen on the run, is sort of a play it by ear quarterback where he can kind of improvise and make plays with his legs. I love that aspect of him. I think he needs to improve on his progressions big time. I think he needs to stay in the pocket more and trust his eyes, learn to identify linebackers. I learned to identify coverage because those things are going to get him in trouble in the NFL if he doesn't do that. He has a lot of raw skills that need to be honed in, but I think the Jets coaching staff with Robert Saleh and their new offensive coordinator can really do that for him. So regardless of the Jets quarterbacks in the past, I think a new regime in here can welcome a quarterback in and put him in a position to succeed. Zach Wilson at number 2 is the pick. I don't know what you guys think, but that's what the Jets are going to go with at 2. All right.
Yeah, no, I was just going to add Zach Wilson, elite arm strength, probably the strongest arm in this entire draft. Really, it doesn't get much better arm strength wise than Zach Wilson. His mechanics are nice and compact. You're not really going to have to work on that too much for Zach Wilson. For the Jets here, it makes a lot of sense. I like the pick.
All right, Lucas, we're going to move on to number 3. You have so far the earliest, hardest decision to make, the one that we are not exactly sure how it's going to shake out here. But number 3, the San Francisco 49ers are on the clock. What are they going to do?
I actually went back and forth on this for a while. Obviously, I knew pretty much 100% where you guys were going to go with the first 2 picks. So I went back and forth, as the Niners probably are right now, or assumingly have already made their pick. But I went ahead and did go with Trey Lance. I was going between Trey Lance and Mac Jones. But I'm thinking, and honestly, I think they probably will pick Mac Jones. I think that's probably where they're going to go. But I'm also thinking, why would you trade up for something that's basically what you already have in Garoppolo, or what you could get in other ways? Is I think what everyone thinks about Mac Jones. So I don't know. Lance just seems like he would offer something. I thought about Fields as well, but I think Shanahan will really see a project with Lance and really want to jump in with him and see what he can build him up into. I just couldn't go with Jones. If it was my pick, I just couldn't pick Mac Jones. That's what. So I kind of, I definitely decided to just go ahead with Trey Lance and have him be the franchise for the San Francisco 49ers.
All right. So what are some of the things that separate him from, Mac Jones and Jimmy Garoppolo that he can offer to the 49ers?
Well, just the athletic ability, just being able to get and move outside the pocket a little bit. With Garoppolo, I mean, what is it, like the highest percentage of passes thrown behind the line of scrimmage, or at or behind the line of scrimmage. Maybe just a little bit more arm talent there, or something that could be built up into it. Same thing. Saying the same thing about Jones is how I see them both. I really think that if you're going to move up and go away from what you have, or what you could also have in this draft, or what you already have with Garoppolo, I think they go with Lance or Fields. But I don't know. I think Shanahan will really like the project with Lance here.
Wow, Matt Bushnell, you and I have spoken about Trey Lance in the past, and we're not as high on Trey Lance. But Matt, I want to hear your reaction here on Trey Lance going number 3 to the 49ers.
Well, this is where the quarterback position falls off a cliff for a lot of us. He's better than Fields. He's better than Jones. Trey Lance offers a ceiling that is extremely high. And this is actually a really good landing spot for him. This or Atlanta would have been the perfect 2 spots for Trey Lance. Anywhere else he goes, I really question the long-term viability of his development. Here in San Francisco, perfect place. He gets to sit behind Jimmy Garoppolo. Kyle Shanahan, exactly what Lucas said, gets to work on it. And this is the NFC West's worst nightmare come true, where they don't take Mac Jones. Exactly what Lucas said. You already have it in Jimmy Garoppolo. Mac Jones is Jimmy Garoppolo, maybe a little bit of a stronger arm, but this is a home run draft pick. I don't like the value at 3, but Trey Lance, if he sits and if he reaches that ceiling, he's going to be the best quarterback in the NFC West.
Wow. Look, I don't know if this is the direction that they go, but I agree with both of you on this aspect that Kyle Shanahan is probably the best player, best coach to have a player go to, especially on the offensive side of the ball, to develop. You've seen so many quarterbacks have success under Kyle Shanahan, from Andy Dalton to Kirk Cousins to Matt Ryan to Jimmy G, and so on and so forth. So regardless of who goes here, I like the situation for them. Maybe Trey Lance can turn into the guy that they need. And if you trade up to 3, you have to be sold on the guy, and he's going to have to play pretty soon. So if it's Trey Lance, then, so be it. Congratulations to the 49ers, our friend Henry Maldonado Jr. getting his quarterback, and it's not Mac Jones. So I know he's really looking forward to that. All right. So 3 picks in the book, one kind of surprise already here, thanks to our friend Lucas. So let's go to number 4. The Atlanta Falcons remain at 4 for now. Matt Bushnell, you are on the clock here. New GM here, new head coach. They have many different directions they could go. Rumors about potentially trading Julio Jones. They could blow the whole thing up, or they could, continue to be dedicated to Matt Ryan. What do you see the Atlanta Falcons doing here at 4?
So Atlanta's kind of in a weird position here. I think they have a lot of pieces at wide receiver with Calvin Ridley. We don't know if they're going to trade Julio Jones, like you said. And then you pair that with Gage, who really came out last year, and maybe they believe in him. So wide receiver doesn't immediately look like a need. Mm-hmm. Tight end position, Kyle Pitts is sitting out there, and you're thinking, man, that could be a really, really decent pick. Offensive line, not a huge issue for this team. When we take a look at Atlanta and everything that they have, and we take a look at the leads that they have blown, this is where Matt Bushnell, the GM, comes into play here. And I've had my eye on this guy for a long time. I think he's the best defensive player in this draft. So at number 4, the Atlanta Falcons are taking Patrick Surtain II out of Alabama University. Wow. Let's go! Woo!
Wow, what a shocker. I mean, I love the pick for the Falcons. Me and you both agree that he's the best defensive player in this draft, and the Falcons are so pathetic on defense. And they, like you have mentioned, they blew on so many leads. I love this pick for them. He is an absolute stud at corner. I love the size, love the physicality. He's going to have to match up with a lot of good receivers there in the NFC South. Love this move for the Atlanta Falcons. Lukas Albert, what do you make of the Falcons' decision here at 4?
I actually like this as well. I think that adding cornerback, I mean, really, I think if you're just unsure of what to do, not that this is the case with Matt or the Falcons here, I just think that cornerback is a really high rated position for me. So much is done in the passing game. It's such a tough position to play. So I think that drafting high there is smart in any case. Like, agree with you guys, best defensive player in the draft. And I think that that Atlanta was one of the worst pass defenses last year as well, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I think that's a great pick. That's a money pick, 100%.
Look, you're in a division, and you have already Michael Thomas. You have Mike Evans. You got Chris Godwin. You got DJ Moore. You got a lot of talented receivers in this division, and you don't have a ton of players to cover these guys. So the Falcons addressing a massive need, a little high. I don't think they got proper value here, but it reminds me of the Giants picking Andrew Thomas at 4 last year, where they probably tested the waters on trading back, couldn't get the exact haul that they would have liked, and they settled for someone that they believed was the best player available or best fit. Matt Bushnell, Patrick Surtain, on the Falcons, maybe they can sort of rekindle some magic they had back with Dion back in the day.
Well, and I think this what comes into play is that you had 3 quarterbacks taken, and I think there's one team that thought more of Mac Jones than anyone else at that spot, and that was the San Francisco 49ers. They took Trey Lance, and that killed the value at 4 for a lot of things because they know Fields is going to fall. They know Jones is going to fall. So do you take a wide receiver when it's not a position of need? No. Offensively, we talked about it. It wasn't the problem for this football team. I have Patrick Surtain as the 3rd best player in this draft. So the value of getting him at 4 matches up. It aligns. I love the value here. I think it makes a ton of sense. And Patrick Surtain is going to be that shutdown corner, that 6'2". Remember, like we talked about, you're going to have a guy like Mike Evans, who's 6'5", playing for Tampa Bay. How do you stop Tom Brady? You have to get a shutdown corner. You have to improve defensively. There's not that standout edge rusher here. So at this point, you draft defense. You go with the best defensive player, the best player on the board, Patrick Surtain. He's now gone.
Absolutely stunned at that pick at 4. It's bad news for the Dallas Cowboys and the Arizona Cardinals later in this draft, I have a feeling. All right, I am on the clock here at 5 with the Cincinnati Bengals, and now they have a decision to make. Everyone wants them to pick a receiver, or they want them, Jamar Chase is available. Now that Kyle Pitts is available, it's this giant target for Joe Burrow just staring at me in the face. But I'm under the belief that, Joe Burrow has the potential to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL for the next decade. I know he tore his knee up, but he's not the most mobile guy. He's a pocket guy. He's so insanely accurate. I love his defensive recognition. I love his pre-snap. I just love the head he has on his shoulders. I have no concern about him coming back from the knee. I do have a concern about the people protecting him and his knee. So you can throw it to any receivers you want, and they can get open as fast as they want. But if you cannot protect the quarterback, it doesn't matter. To me, you got to go offensive lineman here. It looks like we might have lost our Facebook live feed, so we'll be back there, and as soon as we get that situated.
Yeah, let's pause this for a second.
Okay. It just dropped out on me on Facebook.
Yeah, I just saw it too. So we are gonna, for our people listening on our audio platform, just hang with us. Technical difficulties, because we do like having our Facebook Live friends watch these episodes as well. So we are
for our audio only listeners, I'll continue, but the Bengals, they had a terrible offensive line, and part of the problem when you're picking top of the draft every year is you're not a great team already. You throw Joe Burrow into a situation last year where he doesn't have a great offensive line. He has some good receivers, he has some talent around him, but overall you got to be able to protect your young studs. So I think this is going to be a trend for some other teams who picked quarterbacks high in the draft the last few years. Seems to be a trend every time a quarterback goes in the first round the year before. You realize that this is a big investment that you've just made. Now you need to put some insurance on that investment here. And I think the best way to protect a quarterback is by drafting the offensive line. So there's an easy choice here at 5 that I will announce once we get our live situation figured out. Once again, Lucas, I'll just get your thoughts here at 5. If you're the Bengals, what are you thinking here?
I actually totally agree with your thought process on protecting the quarterback, especially given, the obvious example that Burrow, has the ACL blowout last year. So, I can assume I know who you're picking. I totally agree. I think you got to protect him. I think that wide receiver, it seems like it's almost year after year now. It seems that there's just these great classes. So I don't think that it's going to be that hard to find someone for Joe Burrow to throw to. And they actually have some decent receivers now. So yeah, I totally agree with the pick I assume you're going to make. So
yeah,
absolutely.
Look, and I think we're back on Facebook Live here. So give me someone in the comments, give me a heads up here. It looks like we are. But yeah, they have Tyler Boyd. They have T. Higgins, who really came on last year, who played really well. They lose AJ Green, which he didn't offer too much anymore at this point in his career. I know, Corey Richmond, you're begging for Pitts here, and I understand the importance of a tight end position, but I just think when you have a guy who already has an injury as serious as Burrow has, you have to go offensive line. So with the 5th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Penei Sewell, the offensive tackle, Oregon, the best offensive lineman in this draft. Matt Bushnell and I have talked about him before. You even said he could be potentially the next Orlando Pace, and if that's the case, we're looking at a Hall of Fame level offensive line talent. So I think the Bengals nail this pick here at 5.
Cincinnati Bengals, with a number 5 pick in the NFL Draft, select Penei Sewell out of the University of Oregon. The Miami Dolphins are now on the clock. Great pick here for Sewell and the Bengals. I couldn't agree more. I don't want to echo too much of what we already hammered home here, but this is such a no-brainer. Sewell, at first, he's going to be a little bit rocky, rough around the edges, so you're hoping that he's able to develop. If he reaches the ceiling, it's Orlando Pace-esque. He's a shutdown bookend left tackle that will be there for your franchise through thick and thin. To me, your best friend for a young quarterback is a left tackle. Give him that protection. So really a no-brainer pick here for the Bengals.
So the Dolphins now on the clock, and our friend Lucas, now you are on the clock with the Dolphins. You can go a number of different directions here, and they're being mocked. Receiver. They could probably use an offensive lineman here. PFF on our mock draft simulator that we're using now says they need a tackle, a guard, a defensive lineman, an edge. But you look at the receiving core. Devontae Parker kind of falls off from there. They have a good tight end already, Mike Gesicki, but you can't help but to think of what Kyle Pitts would look like in that offense. So Lucas, talk me through your thought process here for the Dolphins at 6.
I went through a couple different things here. I thought about Pitts. I really did. It was really between 2 people because I figured Sewell would be off the board. And with the Dolphins, I'm thinking he really needs someone to throw the ball here too. And the one wide receiver that kind of, I think, sets himself apart, while there is 1 or 2 other ones that I really like as well. But the wide receiver that I think totally sets himself apart is Jamar Chase. And that's who I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins is Jamar Chase. Big guy. I think of 41 plays of 15 yards or more while it's LSU. So I think this is a no-brainer pick for them. Pitts, I guess I shouldn't say no-brainer because I did go back and forth with Pitts again, but I really like Chase. I think he's a no-brainer outside, fits into any scheme. I'm going with Jamar Chase here.
Now, question for you, because I tend to agree that I think Jamar Chase is the best receiver in this draft, but does the opting out at all bother you? Because all of the tape you watch is from 2019, and there's fans in the stands. He's got Joe Burrow throwing to him. It feels like a whole another world since the last time he played. Does that affect you at all, or do you think that'll impact him at the next level?
I took that into consideration as well, but it doesn't seem that at least on most mock draft boards and everything, it doesn't seem to be scaring anyone else away.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to stick with that. If anything, I can't say it helps them at 20, 21 years old to sit out a year. I don't think that scares them away. It seems to be with most NFL teams that they were pretty cool about guys. Depending on your front office and ownership and everything like that, we're pretty decent about people sitting out last year if they did. So I don't think any GM or front office is really going to be scared away by that. As long as he's looking like he's in good shape and everything.
Yeah, I love this weapon for Tua, who really struggled in his rookie year, considering how great Burrow and Justin Herbert played as rookies as well. So this should help the development of Tua Tagovailoa in Miami. So I love the pick here at 6. Now at 7, Matt Bushnell, the pressure is on here for you and the Detroit Lions. We have an angry Lions fan in the comments who wants a specific player. The Lions have a playmaker already, a tight end, TJ Hawkinson. So you going to go Kyle Pitts here? Talk to me about number 7 with the Detroit Lions.
So the Lions are in a very complicated situation here. They have a lot of needs, a new head coach. You want to kind of set an attitude and kind of develop what direction your team's going to go. With that being said, they lost Kenny Golladay. That leaves, a minor hole, depending on how you view Golladay, if you're a Giants or Lions fan. At the end of the day, Kyle Pitts is the best player on the board. And this is classic need versus best player available. Do you take the best player available or do you take a need? They need a wide receiver. Pitts has been kind of compared to Evan Engram, who a lot of people think is more of a wide receiver than he is a tight end. I do like TJ Hawkinson. 2 tight end sets really help in the NFL, but you just can't ignore the big playability of a Jaylen Waddle or a Devonta Smith. However, my issues with Waddle is 1 year of really outstanding production, and this year was supposed to be his breakout year. This was the year for Jaylen Waddle, and then it turned into Devonta Smith. And we got booted off of Facebook again.
Yes, we did.
All right,
What's
so
going on today?
We are going to pause that thought here, and we are going to try to go live again. It is not cooperating. Our audience, just please bear with us here on our audio streaming devices yet again.
Yeah, technical difficulties like crazy today. But the Lions, if Pitts were to fall, I think they have to kind of weigh with their roster already. You traded Matt Stafford for Jared Goff. You have TJ Hawkinson as pretty much your lone playmaking pass catcher at this point. I think that you kind of have to go a guy who can stretch the field more so than a guy who, I think Pitts can stretch the field, but as a tight end, I would want a guy with more speed who can play on the outside. So I tend to agree with you on your thought process, but I don't know who you're going to pick. Pitts still would be, I'm sure Lions fans would love him, but I think you already have that position already set up pretty well on the team. So I would probably go wide receiver for them. It is the second time we get booted, so please bear with us. Technical difficulties.
Yep, and we are going live. It's going again, so just give us a minute here, audience. Like I said, we like to involve our Facebook Live audience as well. And okay, it appears that, let's see what it does for us this time, ladies and gents.
Looks like we're back on Facebook Live now.
Yep, it appears so. So, all right, yep, we are live. I'm going to mark this again as our announcements.
Thanks for bearing with us, everyone. Lucas, thanks. That's your first time. Typically, it doesn't happen like this. Thank you for bearing with us. Lucas is a trooper. We're getting to his Minnesota Vikings here shortly, and that'll be an interesting decision for him and his franchise. But Matt Bushnell, you're still on the clock with the Detroit Lions. Why don't you continue with your thought process was and where you're going to go with the pick?
Okay, give me a second.
Oh, we're still launching up the mock draft simulator here on Facebook Live. Oh man. Detroit Lions, they just don't want the Detroit Lions to pick here, Leon. I think this is a sign of things for you that you're not going to want to watch on Thursday night to see who the Lions pick in a post-Matt Stafford world.
Yep, and it should be popping up here again, so we're hoping.
There it is.
There we go. Yay! All right.
Matt Bushnell, take it away. Detroit Lions at 7.
All right, so the Detroit Lions at 7. I know we got 5 minutes per pick, so let's.
We get booted again, it looks like.
What is going on here with Facebook?
This is a disaster.
Yeah, well, most mock drafts are. Let's see. Live on Facebook. Next up will be YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. My internet's strong. It's not my internet. Football Life presents the Audible. Man, this is going to be
a Facebook problem.
Yeah, Facebook is booting us. You want to tell Henry and
Yeah, we're talking about it.
Okay. So 56 part 4. Part 4. NFL mock draft. Share the group. God, I'm friends with most of these people that are watching. I should just go live on my own timeline, but all right, Football Life. Go live. Let's see if this fixes the problem.
If we get booted again, we might have to try something else.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to pin it as an announcement. So it will just be left as is. But let's tag the people when we do go.
Yep, that's what we'll do.
Okay, we're live again. All right.
Let's see if this time works, Facebook Live, folks. This is a different scenario than what we're used to. We don't typically get booted this many times, so thank you guys for bearing with us.
Yeah, this is really uncharted territory for us. So, Lucas, you're still there, right?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, just want to make
He's
sure.
He's a trooper.
Yeah, I can't even complain. I was the first podcast I was on. I was having all types of headphone problems and everything, so I can't complain.
Leon says to skip the Lions pick, it is always doomed for disaster. maybe that's the problem we're really having here, is that maybe Facebook just doesn't want us to make us pick for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, leave it to the Detroit Lions.
I caught all that flack for the Vikings missing 2 picks, and here the Lions are taking 20 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, we're back. We're back. I'm not making this an announcement. This is not going to be an announcement, ladies and gentlemen. The Detroit Lions, without any further ado, at number 7, they get the best player available to follow them.
No.
They're taking Kyle Pitts out of the University of Florida tight end. The Carolina Panthers are now on the clock.
Oh, wow. There you go, Leon. You get your pick. Kyle Pitts pairing up with TJ Hawkinson there in Detroit. I think he's a stud. That's going to be really good for Jared Goff. The catch radius, the ability to spread him out, and his speed. He's the ultimate weapon, and I think that the Detroit Lions will be very happy with that. All right. We're moving on to number 8. I am on the clock here with the Carolina Panthers, and I got to say the Carolina Panthers were salivating at the idea of getting Kyle Pitts to throw into their offense. But now that is not happening. But what is happening is that they're going to make a trade. And they're going to trade, if it allows me to, with the New England Patriots at 15.
All right. Give me a second here, because this is uncharted territory. We are going to conduct a trade.
So this is a live trade that we have going on here.
Carolina Panthers are trading with the New England Patriots. What is the compensation? Patriots.
So New England is going to give up the 15th pick this year, the 46th pick this year, and their first round pick in 2022 for the Carolina Panthers' 8th pick and next year's 4th round pick.
Hold on. Wait. What? So say that again. Was Carolina giving up?
Carolina's giving up the 8th overall pick and a 4th round pick next year.
All right, and they're getting the 15th, 46th, and
a first rounder next year.
All right, here we go. On the clock is the New England Patriots at number 8.
So they saw the quarterback that they want that fell, and they didn't expect him to, but he's there at 8, and it is Mac Jones, quarterback of Alabama. Bill Belichick gets his guy at 8. They thought they were going to go for Justin Fields, but they love Mac Jones that much more, and they trade up to get him because they didn't think he was going to make it past the Denver Broncos at 9. Bill Belichick finally gets his Tom Brady successor. All those moves they made in free agency, they get their quarterback in Mac Jones. The first time Bill Belichick's ever traded up in the first round to get their guy.
Wow. I'm speechless with this trade. I think Mac Jones is an average pedestrian quarterback. And this is actually great news for the Bears. The Bears contingency is very happy right now, as we were hoping that we wouldn't have to make a decision. And I think that the Denver Broncos are going to take care of any headaches that will present themselves. But Mac Jones has good arm strength, not great, really accurate, but like we talked about, the Jimmy Garoppolo clone. I think you're going to see a lot of his passes at or behind the line of scrimmage, and playing in New England and Foxborough. I think this was a reach. I hate this at 8. Absolutely terrible pick at number 8.
Bill Belichick fell in love with this guy, Mac Jones. He's got Alabama ties. Him and Nick Saban are boys. He just thinks he can recreate the magic that he had with Tom Brady once upon a time. Lucas, is this a shocking decision for you? Just make your decision a little bit harder at 9. What do you make of Mac Jones?
Didn't make my decision harder. Shocking, yes. But yeah, it's I do agree with the thought process to a degree, though. Especially I didn't really think about the Saban Belichick thing as well, but and I do think that there's some comparable things to Brady, I guess. But is it? I don't know if they're necessarily good. Like if it's just not very versatile. I don't know, but I don't know. I don't eat it. But no, I don't see it happening either. But then again, that's Belichick, so I guess I do see it happening. I could see both. Yeah, I could see it not happening, or I could see it.
Yeah, I like Mac Jones. I liked him more than I expected to when I went and watched the tape. I thought he was very accurate. I liked the way he read defenses. I understand that when you play at Alabama, you're playing with the best of the best. He's played with how many first-round wide receivers? He played with the Heisman Trophy winner this year, another guy who's going to get picked in the top 15, and Jaylen Waddle as well. He had a ton of players around him to elevate his game, but I think Bill Belichick is a guy who could see that and say, well, if I put players around him at the next level, he could be successful as well. So I think he has the right fundamentals. I think his techniques are good. I think his throwing motion is good. I think a lot of the things he does translates well to the next level. Whereas a guy like Justin Fields, I worry about his throwing motion. I worry about how he just literally holds the ball in his hands. Like that's some things that I think are hard to fix at the next level. So I think Bill Belichick's picking a guy that he thinks he can build off of in Mac Jones. Trading up is maybe a little bit of a reach, maybe the spot that he was taking a little bit of a reach, but hey, this is my thought process as me pretending to be Bill Belichick. Is this what's going to happen on Thursday? I could promise you there's no chance in hell that's what happens on Thursday. But it's a mock draft, and we're having fun with it. And now the Denver Broncos are on the clock here at 9. And Lucas, you have the pick.
I went a couple different ways here. I've kind of went back and forth on it even as we started the podcast. But I think I'm going to go ahead and pick J.C. Horn, cornerback out of South Carolina.
Okay.
With the Denver Broncos, son of Joe Horn.
Nice.
Hopefully he pulls out a cell phone as well. But thinking with Fangio on the defense, I thought they were going to go defense. I really like Jaylen Waddle from Alabama, so I almost just picked him just because I'm the GM of the Broncos for this moment. But also thought linebacker as well. But I think Horn on the outside, good size, just good physical ability. I guess his footwork isn't that great, but I think that's always something that needs to be worked on with most cornerbacks coming in the NFL. But I do think the Broncos will go defense here, and I can see it being on the outside with J.C. Horn from South Carolina.
I think it's a great fit for the Broncos. I think he really could fit into, I always think of the Broncos in 2015 as having this nasty in-your-face defense. That's the kind of guy J.C. Horn is. He's got that cornerback personality, and I compared him to Josh Norman last week, and I think that's exactly what Denver's looking for on the defensive side of the ball. Matt Bushnell, what do you make of J.C. Horn here at 9? I know that Corey Decker's pretty disappointed that he didn't fall to the Cardinals there at 16.
Yeah, I think what you see out of J.C. Horn is a cornerback that's going to be not scared to challenge you. He's a tone setter. I like his hands. I think his hands are very underrated. I think you're going to see a lot more ball hawking corner out of him. There's things that do worry me with technique. His hip placement coming in and out of wide receiver cuts is a little worrisome. But at 9, I like this pick a lot. It's one of those picks where you kind of like, not a need, but it makes sense. Now you got Kyle Fuller and J.C. Horn tandem. I mean, that might be in a year or two one of the best cornerback duos if they can re-sign Fuller long-term in the NFL. So I think it's a solid pick for Denver at 9.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. I didn't expect this pick, but I definitely love the fit with Denver. I think their defense really wasn't that great. And when you're playing in the division against Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert and even, Derek Carr has flashes here and there, you need to be able to defend. So I think this made the Broncos a hell of a lot better here at 9. Now, Matt Bushnell, you have the next 2 picks, and we didn't make the changes in the rundown quite yet to the 11th pick, but so why don't you kick us off here? Number 10, the Dallas Cowboys are now on the clock.
Yep. So Dallas finds themselves in a very weird position. They valued Patrick Surtain a lot. Like that was the guy they wanted, and him going at 4, and then the board falling the way it has. Seeing J.C. Horn go next is kind of a blow to them, but Dallas is going to take a chance. They're no stranger to injury history. They are going to be taking Greg Newsome II out of Northwestern University.
Wow.
A technique master.
Wow. This is early from Newsome.
The cornerback run has begun.
Yeah. I love this because as a Giants fan who hates the Cowboys, this reminds me so much of the Giants picking Eli Apple at 10 in 2016. That guys they wanted were picked ahead of them. They didn't move. They didn't adjust their thought process, and they just picked position of need, and they didn't get a guy that was very successful. So this is that's exactly where my mind goes to here with this pick at 10 for the Cowboys.
Lucas, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, I do agree. I think Dallas will feel the pressure to grab a cornerback quick if the Broncos do go Horn before them or another cornerback. But I think it's a good fit for them. Definitely a team need, and technique guy. That's someone that you can plug in, I would assume, pretty quickly, and be able to play. So I'd like that pick for the Cowboys.
All right, now, so Matt Bushnell, at the 11th pick we announced before the draft, the Giants and Bears agreed on a trade. So now actually on the clock is the Chicago Bears at 11, the Giants receiving the 20th pick in return and a 3rd-round pick this year, and the Bears get the 11th pick. So you want to make those changes for us on the board while I do the same on mine, and then we can talk about the pick you're about to make.
Yep, the Bears are here picking at 11th. Like Randy said, the Giants moved down to 20, but also pick up the 83rd overall pick in this year's draft. Chicago has a lot of needs, and it's a team in transition. We saw that the offensive line wasn't very good. Wide receivers, they have Allen Robinson. And if you don't know who Darnell Mooney is yet, you need to know that name quickly because that kid is going to be a breakout star at wide receiver. Quarterback's a problem. It has been well documented They have Nick Foles under contract, and they have Andy Dalton under contract. So it would make sense to draft a quarterback here, but there's just not a quarterback we love.
Mm.
The biggest need, and this played out perfectly to Bears brass. This is exactly what we wanted. We knew that we were going to be in a spot to land a cornerback or an offensive tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And the day one left tackle is on the board, and the Bears are taking Rashawn Slater out of the University of Northwestern. Just let me be the GM. Perfect. Technique-wise, kid is ready to go G1. His footwork's perfect, hand placement perfect. You worry about length with the arms. I don't think it's going to be a huge issue here. Rashawn Slater is going to be a 12 to 15 year staple at left tackle for a franchise that desperately needs this. It's a huge win for Chicago. Everyone's happy.
I know you promised to make Bears fans happy with this move, and I love the move for the Bears. Their offensive line was a mess last year, but I don't know if investing in protection into Andy Dalton is really going to make Bears fans that happy. But Lucas, you're the Vikings fan here in the same division as the Chicago Bears. What do you make of this move for your division rival?
Definitely a team need for us as well. Was a player I was looking at. I thought he would be gone though, so glad I didn't look at him too long. But yeah, it stays home. Northwestern going up Evanston up to Soldier Field, so that's probably a good fit there as well. Definitely, you either go. I think when you're rebuilding in a sense, kind of go offensive tackle or quarterback first on that side of the ball when you find the value. But I think too many teams think they need to get the quarterback first. So I actually like the pick here. Go left tackle, get them protected when they first come in. I do like this pick.
Yeah, Matt Bushnell, look, I think Bears fans probably wish they invested more on the offensive line when they had Mitch Trubisky. But also the aspect here now is what you're playing with is potential deja vu with the Bears. In the comment section, Matt Nealon says that now with passing on Fields means that he's going to turn into an all-time great, which and the history of the Bears shows that could be accurate now.
Yeah, I think Fields, like we talked about it so many times, the mechanics are such a huge issue. It takes them forever to get rid of the football. It's going to allow those corners to break on it. You can almost guarantee that with Green Bay addressing defense in this draft, I think cornerback's a need for a lot of these teams. But this team's far away. They're closer to being to the bottom of the NFL than they are to being the top, one of the top teams in the NFL. So really, I'm looking at this as a project. We're going into 2022 draft looking at the quarterback position. That's when I think we'll strike and try to get that quarterback position solved. At 11, we knew we had to jump the Chargers and the Vikings because both of them key tackles. The fact that Slater was there at 11 is a huge win because he would not have been there at 20. Slater's easily the second best tackle in this draft. I think day one, he'll be a little bit better than Sewell, but Sewell's ultimately going to be better than him. That's why you take Sewell at 5 and not Slater at 5. But overall, a huge win for the Bears here because the kid can play. Fields, I'm not taking him this high.
All right, there you have it, Bears fans. If Matt Bushnell was the GM, that's how it would shake out. So congratulations on your franchise left tackle. Now on the clock at number 12 is the Philadelphia Eagles. And Lucas, you're on the clock with them, and they have a decision to make here. I think I know where I would go if I was making the decision, and it doesn't make me that happy as an Eagles fan. But it seems like they're committed sort of to Jalen Hurts, although they've said that there's going to be a quarterback competition. But where do you see Philly going here?
Well, with Hurts in mind, I'm thinking you need somebody to throw it to. I had both wide receivers from Alabama written down for them, with particularly one in mind. If he fell, I think it's a perfect fit. I actually like him a little bit more than the other guy, and it's Jaylen Waddle, from Alabama. I do like this pick a lot for them because with Hurts, you figure more of a college style offense. Waddle can do a lot after the catch. Really good, incredible speed. I saw he doesn't even need a lot of targets. Had low targets and did a lot with it. So you can show you don't have to throw the ball much, run more option plays. yeah, I really like Waddle here to the Eagles. Need somebody for Hurts to throw it to.
Totally agree with you. Both guys, honestly, both Alabama guys scream Eagles to me. Like I just could see Waddle or Smith wearing a Philly green uniform, and I think both of them are going to be studs in the NFL. So it's going to be bad for the Giants that Hurts gets another guy to pass the ball to. And they've had bad luck drafting receivers in the first round previously, but I think this guy's a little bit more can't miss than the other two. Matt Bushnell, give me your quick thoughts on Jaylen Waddle to the Eagles, and then you're on the clock with the Chargers right after that.
I think it's a good pick by the Eagles, getting a wide receiver, a top tier wide receiver. Waddle, I think if he stays healthy this year, he's Devonta Smith, and Devonta Smith isn't Devonta Smith, but at the same time, great wide receiver skill set, good catch radius, high points to ball. We saw with Alabama. I mean, Jaylen Waddle and Devonta Smith basically made Mac Jones. So you have to love these two kids playing in a conference in the SEC that is just a meat grinder overall. And keep in mind, these guys played every day in practice against Patrick Surtain. They played against J.C. Horn. So it's not, they didn't play against weak competition, weak cornerbacks. So you got to love this pick if you're an Eagles fan, because it buys into Jalen Hurts. And I think Jalen Hurts has the potential to be a really good quarterback.
Well, there you have it. I agree. I love the pick for Philly there. I guarantee Jaylen Waddle gives Giants fits in the future if that's how it shakes out. But the Chargers now on the clock, and PFF says it. They need a tackle, they need a guard, they need a corner. But Justin Herbert really shined as the franchise quarterback last year, so they have a decision to make here at 13. Where do you see him going, Matt Bushnell?
Yeah, this one's the toughest one of all. So I'm sitting here thinking, no way did I think Devonta Smith would be on the board at 13. Even though he weighed in at 160 pounds, it's worrisome. But then you take a look at some of the offensive linemen, and I mean, Micah Parsons not going here. I just don't like his skill set. Christian Barmore would be an excellent fit for the Chargers defensively. And Christian Darrisaw is a tackle that you could really build off of. But I think when it's all said and done, if you believe in your board and you believe that you take the best player available, the San Diego Chargers at pick number 13 is taking Devonta Smith, wide receiver out of Alabama.
Wow. Herbert getting another weapon to pair with Keenan Allen there. That is, I love it. I always tend to lean an offensive line, and I think this is good for Lucas's Minnesota Vikings coming up next. But the talent level on Devonta Smith wearing that Chargers uniform, the speed, it's going to be so pretty looking here. I kind of like this a lot for Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Lucas, what do you make of this pick before you get to your Vikings pick?
I actually like this a lot too, especially for the fact that it wasn't an offensive line. But no, I do like it. You do once you get to that point with Herbert, let's surround him. And if there is, I'm a big proponent of taking the best player available. Kind of get your team or your needs there. But if you like a wide receiver over a lineman, I'd go there that way. And I think Smith is an excellent target for Justin Herbert going forward. Especially for a long time coming too. So yeah, I like that pick.
The Heisman Trophy winner in 2020, going to the Los Angeles Chargers. Thank you, Corey Decker, for correcting me, and Matt Bushnell. I believe we both said San Diego, so a quarter in the jar for both of us. Messing that up, and we'll have to be aware of the Raiders upcoming no longer play in California. So that's something we'll have to keep in mind. But now on the clock is the 14th pick, highly anticipated. Lucas, you're joining us for the first time, and now your favorite team is on the clock. You are making the selection for Mike Zimmer's Minnesota Vikings. You nailed the first round pick last year with Justin Jefferson. What are you planning on doing here at 14?
Well, definitely have one specific team need over anything else, and that is anywhere on the offensive line. Kind of filled in some holes through free agency and some other places, but it would be a travesty almost not to pick an offensive lineman and even reach a little bit, because it's just, unless there's a player you really like, this has to be the pick as an offensive tackle. With just atrocious for Kirk Cousins, lacks pocket presence anyway. Definitely needs a good left tackle. And I'm going to go with Elijah Vera Tucker.
All right.
USC. Like the big body. He can move around a little bit. They do like to pull their tackles out and run with Cook. Good versatility there too, and just to be able to protect Cousins, which is the biggest thing that we're looking for here. Cannot go in a different direction. If Matt would have went an offensive tackle there with the Chargers, I may went in panic mode and picked somebody crazy, but definitely had Vera Tucker from the beginning, so I'm gonna stick with him.
All right, you had him over Darisaw, who I believe was ranked a little bit higher, but what separated him over the guy from Virginia Tech?
Well, I think it's the ability to maybe run block a little bit better. The versatility too. Also, I know Vikings fans may be a little worrisome taking a tackle from USC after Matt Khalil, so that maybe scares some people. But yeah, I really like Tucker here.
I think the run block aspect is so important with Dalvin Cook back there and how great of a year he had last year and the importance he had with the Vikings. Matt Bushnell, what do you make of AVT, as many people call him, going to the Minnesota Vikings?
To me, he's your prototypical right tackle. I don't think this is a left tackle player. But like Lucas said, the Vikings offensive line, I mean, if you've seen them against anybody, it was a rotating door. Cousins didn't have a lot of time. To me, I think I would have went Darisaw because I think Darisaw projects as a left tackle in the future. Elijah Vera Tucker does have some speed, but the USC thing worries me. I do not love tackles out of USC. A lot of them have kind of been meh, all right. I think Anthony Munoz was the last great USC offensive tackle. So it'll be interesting to see. They play in the Pac-12. They only played, I think, 6 games this year, USC did. So obviously you don't want to punish the players, but there's not a whole lot there. You didn't get to see them against maybe one of the top tier edge rushers in college football. So to me, I get it, makes a little bit of sense, but I had him as the 4th offensive tackle in this draft.
All right, look, I like the pick for the Vikings. You know, you're committing a ton of money to Kirk Cousins, and he's not the most mobile guy in the world, so you have to protect him. And this is a no-brainer to me to draft offensive line. Look, more teams in general, if you have a franchise quarterback, just draft offensive linemen just because you can't have enough of them. So it's a position of need for the Vikings, and they got a guy that they really wanted. So I like the pick for sure. All right, we're going to move on to the number 15th pick, which is now the Carolina Panthers, and I am on the clock for them. And I still think I'm in a great spot with them here. They got an extra first-round pick next year from the Patriots, and they get a second-round pick this year from the Patriots. And, you could argue to go Justin Fields here, but they have a ton of money committed to Teddy Bridgewater, and they traded for Sam Darnold. So I don't think a quarterback is the way to go here. I think Matt Rule is an offensive-minded guy, and I think they lose Curtis Samuel, who was a total just a utility offensive weapon for them last year. So I think they're going to look to replace him. And I got the 4th best wide receiver on the board, the 5th best pass catching option right here at 15, and it's Rashawn Bateman, the wide receiver of Minnesota, going to the Carolina Panthers. Look, the guy's a great possession receiver opposite of DJ Moore. I really do think he's a great fit for Carolina in that offense. And with CMC coming back, I think this could be an explosive one, regardless if it's Teddy. I mean, more so if it's Teddy. I don't necessarily believe in Sam Darnold, but with Teddy Bridgewater, this offense could be a damn good one. Matt Bushnell, you and I talked about Rashawn Bateman. Do you think Carolina is a good landing spot for him?
I do. Unfortunately, I think the pick is a little high, but when you see wide receivers starting to go, like they're starting to go now, it is a deep wide receiver draft as you get later in the rounds, but can you identify that? Bateman's got great hands, just a really smooth pass catcher. I think he'll fit in nicely with Carolina. It'll definitely give him a reliable underneath target. And either if it's Darnold or if it's Bridgewater, it gives them a reliable offensive weapon. It's a good pick. At the end of the day, Carolina needed a wide receiver. They get the wide receiver, the best one left on the board. They weren't going to draft a quarterback. The tight end just wasn't there. Cornerback, you've seen a lot of guys go. Do you trust Fairley? To me, 15th, Bateman, it's a good pick for the Panthers.
Yeah, I just think, you losing Curtis Samuel, who meant so much to your offense last year as a wide receiver too, is a big blow. And, I agree with not paying him. I don't think he's like a great receiver by any chance, but he's a guy you used a ton. So you need to replace that production somehow. And I think Bateman's the right guy for that. Lucas, you're the Minnesota Vikings fan. I assume you're not a Minnesota Golden Gophers fan, but, you're in that general area, but I'm sure you've seen Rashawn Bateman play a bit. What do you make of him?
I actually have not. I actually haven't seen.
Oh no! This is when I get making assumptions.
If it went down, I have to be honest. But as far as it goes, with wide receivers, cornerbacks flying off the board here, and those being two big team needs, as well as a quarterback not really left that you like, and you already have Darnold and Bridgewater there anyway. I think you go with your best wide receiver available here, which is Bateman. But yeah, I won't lie. I do not know a lot about Rashawn Bateman.
All right, Lucas, I appreciate the honesty. Moving on to 16 at the Arizona Cardinals on the clock. And this worked out nicely, Matt Bushnell. I didn't even consider this when I put together the draft order for us. But you're our native Arizonian. I don't know if that's the right way to prefer to call you. But nonetheless, you're here at 16 with the Arizona Cardinals. And they have an interesting decision to make here because what the hell are they going to do? All the corners are gone. And, they're an offensive team. But, you need to improve your defense. So what are you going to do?
Okay, so I'm a native Chicagoan, but I do live in Arizona, and this draft board worked out perfectly for the Cardinals.
Okay.
Tight end was never going to be an option. Kyle Pitts was going to be gone well before this team, and they're not going to trade that amount of draft capital. So they're in win now mode. They need to win now. This team's offensive line was not good last year. Now, with the cornerback position being gone, obviously you got Malcolm Butler over there, and you got some pieces. Obviously, you would like to have another cornerback, but you cannot pass on this talent. The stud interior defensive lineman, the best interior defensive lineman in this draft, Christian Barmore, is drafted out of the University of Alabama by the Arizona Cardinals at pick number 16. It is a huge win for them to get Christian Barmore here.
I love the pick. You get an interior defensive lineman who gets a ton of pressure, and your hope is that he can turn into an Aaron Donald type where he can wreck the game on the inside of the defensive line, because that's the kind of guy he could be. Aaron Donald's otherworldly. I'm not saying he will be Aaron Donald, but that's the type of player he is. You pair him with already the pass rushers that you have. You drafted Isaiah Simmons last year. He's still looking for his role. Look, you're an already established offensive team. I know people are worried about the running back position, but you can get value at running back later in the draft. But I really like, if you didn't go offensive lineman here, this is where I would have gone. And I know that they are all about the offense, but you need to be able to stop teams too. And you're playing in a division with other good offenses. So I'm a big fan of the pick here. Christian Barmore to the Arizona Cardinals. Lucas, what do you make of it?
I like it. As I said, the game is won and lost in the trenches. I think defensive tackle, if you can immediately stop up the run, maybe even generate a little pass rush from in there, it's really good. Seems like he's more of a three technique. Definitely good to pair there. Get some good rush on the quarterback and plug up the middle there for the Cardinals. I think you do go best available player here because you're kind of coming up. So. I like the pick a lot here.
I think Corey Decker's a little disappointed, but let me just paint a picture here with Chandler Jones, J.J. Watt, and now you insert Christian Barmore here, and that's a pretty good front. And if you hope, Isaiah Simmons turns into the linebacker that you hope he's going to turn into, that's some interesting front seven talent you got there, Matt Bushnell. I actually like the thought process there.
Yeah, we saw how did Tampa Bay beat Kansas City? They sacked Mahomes. They got him out of his comfort zone. Right. You're playing in a division with Russell Wilson and now Matthew Stafford, and we're looking at a year of Jimmy G and then probably Trey Lance. You have to be able to get to these guys. And with J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones and Isaiah Simmons possibly coming off the edges, and you get Barmore to get that interior pressure, this is a huge win for the Cardinals to be able to do that. To me, it made the most sense here. You weren't going to get the value out of corner. You weren't going to get the value out of a tight end. You could have went offensive line here with Christian Darrisaw, but still Christian Barmore is the best player on the board here, and it helps them win immediately.
Totally agree. I like the pick a ton for the Cardinals. All right, number 17. And now the most interesting team every year in the draft, a team that just does random shit every time. Never really know what they're going to do. Lucas, you have to put on your John Gruden / Mike Mayock hat here for number 17 in the Las Vegas. Got that one right. Raiders. What's
well, I look at their team needs here, and we've had tackles, cornerbacks fly off the board here. Obviously, not a lot of guards. Didn't see a safety I like, but I think I'm going to go linebacker here with them. Get them good on that side of the ball. I'm going to go with Micah Parsons out of Penn State.
Wow, nice pick.
Little inexperienced. Good size or decent size though, 6'3", 246. I like this pick for the Raiders. I think he had some off-field issues, and is of course picking as the Raiders. I'm like, well, no problem there. So yeah, I like this a lot. Good tackler. Forced some fumbles in his college career. He's forced fumbles. I really like this pick. I think he's a dynamic player for the Raiders.
You pair him with Cleveland Farrell, who was a guy that they picked way too early last year, but I actually think he could play opposite of him really well on the edge. Matt Bushnell, Micah Parsons fallen a little bit further than we thought, but I think it's great value for the Raiders at 17.
Yeah, if he reaches the ceiling, he's going to be a really good player. He has some off-field character issues that you worry about. Kind of not the most stand-up guy, but damn it, he feels like a Raider. Does it? Like everyone we talk about with the Raiders, with like there's something wrong with the guy mentally. It just feels like he belongs with the Las Vegas Raiders or the past Oakland Raiders. I think it's a good fit. Defensively, they have to get better. They can't keep on giving up points. Offensively, they did give away a lot of offensive linemen here, but at the same time, you got to be able to stop teams from scoring. I thought, sneakily here at the Raiders, and I'm not sure if it would have made a ton of sense, but maybe Justin Fields here would have been a landing spot. We're seeing this fall, and I don't know where Justin Fields' fall eventually stops. But to me, I just think that it's a good pick defensively. They need to get to the quarterback. If he can turn into that edge rusher that they need, it's a home run pick. If not, middle linebacker could be an interesting spot for him here.
Definitely. Love the spot for him for sure. Great value. 17 for Micah Parsons. I mean, he could be, a lot of people think he is the best pass rusher or edge rusher in this draft. So look, the Raiders, they're kind of blowing it up a little bit off on the offensive line. You could have gone offensive tackle here, but the talent of Micah Parsons is probably too great to pass up in that spot. So love it for the Raiders at 17. All right, moving on to the Miami Dolphins here at 18. I am on the clock for them, and I think this worked out so well for them. As we know, the Laramie Tunsil trade is the gift that keeps on giving for them, and this is their second pick in this draft. And they're going to try to replace Laramie Tunsil, and they're going to go offensive lineman. They're going to go with Christian Darrisaw, the tackle out of Virginia Tech, because you got two of the weapon already in Jamar Chase, and now you're going to get him some protection in Christian Darrisaw. Now, whether he plays right tackle or left tackle remains to be seen, but regardless, you can never have enough of these guys. I think he's super talented. And you know what? The Dolphins could not be happier with him falling to 18 here. And look, the Dolphins are loading up now because the division, everyone in their division seems to be going for it. So I think that, Tua Tagovailoa is the big winner here in this 2021 draft. Matt Bushnell, Christian Darrisaw falling to the Dolphins. I actually love this for them.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense for Darrisaw to be drafted there to the Dolphins. It helps them protect Tua. The weird thing about Tua, and to keep in mind, he's not a right-handed quarterback, so you have to flip your tackle. So a right tackle is protecting the quarterback's blind side because Tua's a lefty. To me, this signals no more excuses for Tua. They're going to find out what they have in him. Last year, you had a lot of maybe he can be, and then you saw, maybe he can't be. So to me, this draft is all about no more excuses for Tua. Dolphins are not going to be patient here. They play in a division with the Bills. The Patriots are going to get better. The Jets look like they're on the upswing. So to me, this pick signals We're going to give you everything we can, so you need to put up.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just going to try to speed this up a little bit here. At 19, the Washington football team is on the clock, and I think they got a gift here, Matt Bushnell. If you pull the trigger, you're on the clock for Washington. What's the move?
Washington offensively needs a lot here. There's a lot of spots where they could go that they can improve on, but they don't love Justin Fields. They took an Ohio State quarterback and they live to regret it.
Mm-hmm.
They are taking the linebacker out of Notre Dame.
Damn you.
Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
Damn it.
He is going to the Washington Football Club. And
hate you.
They had to get him. They needed a linebacker, and it fits this defense. It's going to be one of the top defenses in the league with Ron Rivera running that show.
I'm so angry right now. Oh, Washington taking the guy I love so much. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. This guy's all over the field on the tape that you watch. He's such a good tackler. He's in the backfield making plays. He's a great cover guy. I think he's the most versatile linebacker here. I know people love Parsons, but I love JOK so much more here. Lucas, have you got to watch Notre Dame a ton? I mean, every time I watch this guy on tape, I just think he pops out to me.
I've watched them here and there, and yeah, I agree. The versatility is good. I see here 11 tackles for loss, 3 forced fumbles, 1.5 sacks, an interception, 3 pass breakups, and 12 starts. So yeah, I agree. Definitely a versatile guy here for the Washington football team. Sorry, but yeah, I like this. I like this pick.
I hate this pick as the person who has to pick at 29 with the Giants, because that is who I wanted so badly for them. And the whole reason I traded back is because I thought I could get him at 20. So this is devastating. And this is why Dave Gettleman will never trade down, because this is how this would play out in real life if this is a guy, so there's a guy he really wanted and they were taken right in front of him. And I think Vince is going to be happy with this, but I'm not happy with this. And I'm just basing this off of what would make me mad in real life, because this is how this goes with the Giants. So with the 20th pick in the 2021 NFL draft, the New York Giants are going to select Kwity Paye, the edge rusher from Michigan. And if you watched the show last week, you know he's my least favorite prospect in the draft. I don't think he's a good pass rusher. I don't think he has very many moves. I think he's extremely limited. I don't love the prospect at all. And the Giants have a need at edge, and unfortunately, with the pick of the linebacker gone, now Kwity Paye falls to the Giants, and I have to live with the guy with a very hateable name playing edge for the Giants. And supposedly, they'll try to rekindle some fire they got with the Jason Pierre-Paul pick 11 years ago today, which is what I'm wearing today. The best pick the Giants have made in the first round in the last 12 years. But to me, it's just, he doesn't have the size JPP had, doesn't have the talent JPP had. And JPP could bull rush you. He could spin around you. He could dip under you. He could bend. He had all the talent that Kwity Paye just doesn't have these pass rushing abilities. A lot of his sacks are coverage sacks. A lot of his sacks come from quarterback rolling out and trying to do too much. There's something to be said, Matt, like you said last week, to being in the right place at the right time. But to me, he's extremely limited. And there's a term that I used to say about a couple guys the Giants used to have, which they're incredibly blockable, which when you're playing on the defensive line, you don't want to be blockable. To me, he's very blockable, and I'm not happy about it. But when you trade back to 20, this is the game that you play. Kwity Paye, the Giants at 20, Matt. I don't know. What do you make of it?
Yeah, well, Fami asked us to recap how the Giants got to 20. The Bears traded the 20th and 83rd pick in this year's draft to move up to number 11, where the Bears take Rashawn Slater. And that left the Giants at 20. They missed their linebacking target. And Randy, like you said, they got Kwity Paye. Corey Decker shared an interesting story with me or with us in the football group today about Kwity Paye and everything that he's been through. And he's definitely a high character guy. You can't take anything away from his character.
Joe Judge will love that.
Yeah, definitely a high character guy. To me, I don't know if this fills a need for them, but if he can turn into a guy that can rush the passer, this defense all of a sudden is very dangerous and very good. So that hinges on that. I'm going to take a wait and see. I almost give them an incomplete here because I don't love Michigan guys. I feel like we've been, I can't remember the Michigan guy that got drafted by the Packers.
Clinton Dix. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of that's Alabama. I don't know what I'm thinking.
Oh, Rashawn Gary, you're thinking of.
Yeah, Rashawn Gary. And it feels like the Packers have been waiting on him to take that next step for a long time now, and it just never seems to come. You see flashes here and there. I hope that's not what Kwity Paye turns into, but I feel like that might be it.
Yeah. Not a fan of the pick, but that's the pick I ended up with, and it's sort of me trying to get Dave Gettleman fired through this mock draft. Might be a weird way of going about it, but I've lost all their hope for that. So here we are. I am on the clock again at 21 with the Indianapolis Colts. One of the more complete rosters in the entire league to me, and I love a lot of what they have. What I don't love is their receiving core, and unfortunately for them, there's not a ton of great options at receiver. I do think Elijah Moore is really good. I think he's really steady. I love his breaks. I love his hands. I think it's a little too early to jump on the Elijah Moore pick here. So I'm going to go and maybe jump a little. Maybe take a little bit of a risk, but I think that you have Carson Wentz into the building now, and you should help bolster that offensive line. Playing next to Quentin Nelson and all the other great players, you can't hurt to draft another guy, and tackle is on one of the lists of needs. I'm going to go with Walker Little, the tackle of Stanford for them. So much of the issues with Carson Wentz in Philly was he wasn't protected. And I think that's going to change in Philly or in Indianapolis, and he's going to be protected big time because they have one of the best offensive lines in the sport. You saw the success Philip Rivers had last year before he retired. They're going to be a run-first team as is, and I think they can find value wide receiver later on. So Walker Little is the pick for them there at 21.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I can't complain. They got one of the best offensive lines in the NFL.
Right.
And Walker Little can definitely come help and bolster it. And like you said, they have Wentz. So if you give Wentz time, you keep him upright, he may be able to take it. It definitely comes on. Who do you like more, Elijah Moore or Walker Little? If you feel better about Walker Little, you take Walker Little. If you feel better about Elijah Moore, you take Elijah Moore. Mm-hmm. So to me, I get what the Colts did here. It makes sense. You value offensive line, you keep Wentz upright. So
that's what good organizations do. I think they value offensive lines, and that's the Colts are one of the more steady and consistent organizations in the NFL right now. Lucas, give me your thoughts on this pick, and then you're on the clock with the Titans at 22 right after that.
Yeah, well, again, we've had wide receivers, tackles, and cornerbacks seem to be flying off. And with Wentz, you can't have too much protection, it seems. So I don't hate this pick at all. Stanford produces, good offensive lineman on as that too. So I probably would have tried to find a wide receiver I like there, but with no other option, a tackle is always a solid pick there.
Yeah, I think the Colts understand that there's wide receiver value in the second round, maybe the third round even. So they trust their scouts, and they're going to get a guy kind of like they did last year. They picked your boy, Matt Bushnell. What's his name again? His name's escaping me. From
Michael
USC. Michael Pittman, and they picked him in the second round, and he ended up being great value for them there. So they have a great scouting department, and I think that they trust that to find a guy on day two. All right, so that's my justification for the Colts at 21. They're also a trade back candidate for me. I could absolutely see them doing that. But at 22, the Tennessee Titans. Lucas, what's your thought process here? I feel like they have a lot more needs than what this is listing.
I actually don't. What the position I'm going here isn't as none of those four listed there, and I have the player that I'm looking forward dropping for me as well, and I'm going to go with Trevon Moehrig out of TCU.
Love it for them.
I think this is a good fit. Yeah, absolutely good fit for them. Versatile guy, can go after tight ends. Little bit bigger size, not a big guy, but he's also not afraid to go up at the highest point against the bigger guy. Good tackler, solid athlete. I think that the Titans go value here with him, especially considering how far he dropped.
Secondary is a big issue for the Titans. So regardless if it's safety or corner, he's a huge upgrade. They lost Adoree Jackson. They lost Logan Ryan the year before. So I love this pick. And Trevon could go in the top 20 come Thursday night. I really think he's a really talented, big physical big physical safety who can also cover. So it's hard to find that versatility at the safety position. Typically, you have the free safety who's the corner and the strong safety who's the box guy who you send on blitzes. So he can kind of do a little bit of everything. Matt Bushnell, I mean, you're playing in the Big 12 as a safety, and you have the success he has, and no doubt he's a first rounder.
Absolutely. I think you would hope if you stayed at 20, if you're the Bears, or if you stayed at 19, if you're the Washington Football Club, or anybody in that pick range, to get Trevor Lawrence there would be a huge win, monumental. What Tennessee is able to grab here as a playmaker, a defensive changer, and he'll erase mistakes. He's that good at the safety position, and to get him at 22 is an absolute damn steal here for Tennessee. This is how things work in the drafts. Some guys get overdrafted. Positional value comes into play here. Some teams draft need over best player available, and that's what happened here with Trevon being able to fall to 22 to a really good organization. And you have to be sweating right now if you're in that AFC South to pair him with Mike Vrabel. Good luck.
No doubt about it. Nice pick for the Tennessee Titans. They need a lot of work on the defensive side of the ball, especially. So I really love your thought process there, Lucas. Now time to go to 23, the second pick in the first round for the New York Jets. Matt Bushnell, you are on the clock.
They got their quarterback in Zach Wilson. You see that they have a lot of needs, a guard, edge, cornerback. I would not be surprised if this team is primed to trade back from 23 to accumulate more picks, but I believe they have the most picks in this draft. I could be wrong. Okay.
Next year too.
So it doesn't make sense for this team to accumulate more picks right now. When you have a young quarterback, pair him with a wide receiver, get him a weapon. This fan base has been frothing at the mouth saying how they never had any help for Sam Darnold. Well, that can't be your excuse for Zach Wilson. They are taking Elijah Moore here at number 23.
All right. Yeah, look, I think Elijah Moore is really good. He's one of the guys that is going to go late first that not a ton of people are talking about, but he's on a bad Ole Miss team, and he still had a ton of success for them. Like I said, watch some of the tape on him. He really gets great separation off the ball. His breaks are really great. Love his hands. So pairing him with the name of the Jets receiver they drafted last year is escaping me, but you have two stud wide receivers on the Jets to put with Zach Wilson. I think you're putting him in a situation to succeed. And, I think they definitely need to upgrade the running back position, but they can do that later rounds. So I think they have good value here at 23. I think, Matt, just to push back, I might have gone Caleb Fairley here only because they definitely need secondary help. And, if he can play corner at the next level, which I think he's more of a safety, but regardless, the talent level of him, he's falling pretty far. Some people think he'll fall out of the first round because of back problems, but he did opt out. Is that one of the things you considered when making this pick?
I think what worries me about Fairley is being someone that has back issues. It affects you in every which way imaginable. And to me, that's a major red flag. Caleb Fairley, for me, is on my do not draft list.
Ooh.
Just because you can't take a player with back issues. It affects them their entire career. They'll never be the player they could be. And when you draft a guy in the first round, you have to get immediate return on investment. And Caleb Fairley is just not that guy for me.
All right. Well, we're going to go to 24 with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'm on the clock. And this isn't where I expected to go with the Steelers, but here we are. Behind Big Ben, the quarterback depth chart is not very good. And they have that former failed Ohio State quarterback that you mentioned earlier on the show, and Dwayne Haskins that the Washington football team drafted. But I think that they need to focus on the successor for Big Ben, because Big Ben looks like a guy who is past his prime and looks like a guy who's ready to retire. Philip Rivers retired, Eli Manning retired. It's time to say bye for that 2004 class. I think this is a no-brainer at this point. If he falls to 24, I think the Steelers by far will be the easiest decision of the night. Will draft Justin Fields, the quarterback of Ohio State. And this is a good situation for him because he doesn't have to start right away. He can sit behind a guy like Big Ben, who's won 2 Super Bowls, been to another Super Bowl, has been in the NFL for 17 years, is a consummate professional, and he doesn't have to play. And I think that Mike Tomlin is a perfect coach for him. I don't necessarily love their offense, but they have young stud wide receivers for him to throw to eventually when he gets in there. I think he's an upgrade on Mason Rudolph if something were to happen to Big Ben. Definitely think he's an upgrade on Dwayne Haskins. So Justin Fields, no-brainer pick for me here behind Big Ben. Lucas, Justin Fields falling to 24, I feel like is a gift for the Steelers, is it not?
I like that a lot, actually. That is a great fit, and I think that the Steelers jump all over that and sit them there, kind of similar to what we've seen the Packers do with Rodgers and Love. I think that the Steelers would want to keep that going since they've had Roethlisberger for so long. I think that Tomlin and that front office also would like Fields a lot. I think I really like that fit, actually. I really like that pick a lot for Pittsburgh.
And I'm not saying Big Ben's a mentor. I understand Big Ben's probably not going to be that bitch, not embracing the young kid, but you can still learn a lot just by watching somebody and seeing how Big Ben goes through the motions pre-snap. Or a lot of things that he does are still next level, and he's a Hall of Famer. So you learn a lot from that guy, whether he embraces you or not. It's the NFL. You can't let your feelings get hurt about that. Matt Bushnell, I know you don't love Justin Fields, but you can't help but to feel like, at least he gets to sit behind someone and learn and develop in a situation like Pittsburgh.
I got 4 or 5 guys in the second round that can do the same thing.
Okay.
I mean, to me, I've said it before. My issue is not Justin Fields, the quarterback. My issue is not Trey Lance, the quarterback. My issue is not Mac Jones, the quarterback. It's these teams reaching for these guys when there's so many better players available. If you give me Mac Jones, Trey Lance, and Justin Fields, I don't think any of them. I give Trey Lance a fringe late first round grade. Mac Jones and Fields to me are second round quarterbacks. They're the best of that next bunch. It's good value here, I think, for the Steelers to be able to get a quarterback here. It feels like the right fit, the right time. The Steelers are a good situation for him. To me, I just don't like Fields in the first round, but if you see all those guys go, it's like me complaining about an offensive lineman going in the first round when I thought he should go in the second round. But when we run on tackles, we never really, criticize those teams that much. So the run on quarterbacks are what they are. You get the best available quarterback with a pick and a position of need. I don't totally hate it. I think 24 is probably the right spot. Like, this is probably the earliest I would envision him going.
Yeah, I just think that you have him sit behind a guy like Big Ben for a year, and then throw him into the fire after that. And I think Mike Tomlin's the kind of guy who could embrace him and help fix some of the glaring issues that he has. All right, number 25 now, Jacksonville Jaguars for their second first-round pick are now on the clock. And Lucas, you are on the clock with them. They get Trevor Lawrence, best player in the draft, best player in, God knows how long. Matt Bushnell says 40-some years. But you get your quarterback. Now you have several needs still. Your number 1 overall pick. You go 1-15 last year. You win your first game of the year, lose 15 straight. You're not a very good team. So you going best player available here. What's your thought process with the Jags' second first-round pick?
It's actually going to work out to be a little bit of both here, I think. It's not, well, at least not listed as team need for them there. But I'm going to go with an edge rusher. I wanted to go Elijah Moore when we started getting closer to this pick, was seeing if he fell, but obviously he didn't. I was going to give him a wide receiver with Lawrence, but and I know the Jags have some decent ones now, but so I kind of went in a couple different directions here. Thought I could go interior lineman. That's also a good thing to go with as you're rebuilding. But with the value here, I'm going to go with Jason Owe. I'm not even sure how you say his last name. From Penn State.
I like that pick a lot.
Yeah, 6'5", rushing the passer. I figure as you're coming up, rebuilding, you got to get after the quarterback. You got to get a quarterback, protect your quarterback, get a quarterback, and go after the other team. So I think a good edge rusher here, the best one available, Jason Owa, big guy, freak athlete, able to get around, can rush from both sides. As I saw him fall, I was thinking about that too, so I was very happy about that. Oops.
Yep. No, I absolutely agree with you on this one. He does a lot of things that you can really envision at the next level. You want that length at that edge rushing position to be able to get those hands extended and make sure that those offensive linemen don't get into your body. I love the 6'5" frame. When I was looking at him, and this might turn out to be just like a really, really home run pick, and a guy that I compare him to, Lucas, and I'm not sure if you would agree with it, but I see kind of a Chandler Jones type of a pass rusher here.
Yeah, definitely long arms, able to get out. Guess he doesn't get skinny very well, trying to slip in between things. It seems like every problem is just a little technique thing, and a lot of that's just getting to the NFL. I agree. Yeah, I mean, just a big guy at 6'5", and a great athlete, can get around side to side, sideline to sideline. Yeah, I do see the Chandler Jones here. Feeling, just being able to rush, get around the edge. Yeah, I was very surprised that we were able to get this value here for the Jaguars.
Yeah, good pick for the Jags. The Jags look like they are going to be on the upswing. And with that being said, is what we haven't seen this in a long time. The Cleveland Browns picking 26th in the NFL draft. So, it's uncharted territory here for the Browns. They need an interior defensive lineman. They need an edge rusher. They need a linebacker. And there's just a lot of things. I mean, Fairley would make some sense here to help with the backfield. But my personal feeling on Fairley, he's on my do not draft list. Mm-hmm. But with the NFL going with 3 wide receiver sets, 4 wide receiver sets, we've been in the nickel more than we've ever been in the NFL. And I know it says linebacker, but I value my nickel cornerbacks. And I think this guy, you may question him at the start, but Asante Samuel Jr. is going to be a ball hawking corner. This kid is money. I love him. This Cleveland Browns secondary is vastly improved now.
I love this guy. I think he's the perfect nickel. I think he's a little undersized, but he's got the right attitude. And I said he just finds himself in the right situations to make plays in the secondary. And you're in a division with great receivers for Pittsburgh. And Baltimore doesn't have the greatest passing game ever, but they still have a great rushing attack and a successful offense in their own right. But the Bengals are going to be able to throw the ball over the field as well. So you have to be able to cover these teams, and you have to look beyond your own division, because when you find yourself in the playoffs playing the Chiefs, playing the Chargers, playing all these high-powered offenses, you need to be able to figure out how you match up with them. So I love this spot for Asante Samuel Jr. And if he's anything like his father, he's going to be a stud of a corner. And Lucas, you don't live that close to Cleveland. I always just lump the Midwest on. Asante Samuel Jr., look, his dad was a hell of a player here, and I know Cleveland probably would want to go edge rusher, but regardless, you're bolstering that defense when your offense is already really solid.
Yeah, I especially this late in the first round, cornerback, you can never have enough cornerbacks, and as you guys said, especially with the quarterbacks and everybody you're going up against in that division, I like this pick a lot. I was surprised to see that Asante Samuel had a son old enough to play in the NFL, just as I was with Antoine Winfield last year. So yes. Yeah, that was a surprise. But yeah, I like this pick a lot.
Nothing makes you feel older than watching players that you grew up watching with their kids in the league, right? Like Fernando Tatis Jr. is killing it in baseball, and I remember seeing Torrey Hunter has a son in the minors. I was like, what the hell? I'm getting old, but absolutely. I will always never forget Asante Samuel dropping that Eli Manning interception in Super Bowl 42. So, all right, we're going to move on to lucky number 27 on this April 27th. Once again, shout out to my wonderful mother. Happy birthday, Mom. We're going to move to Baltimore Ravens on their first of 2 picks here late in the first round. They're very interesting to me because no wide receiver in free agency really wanted to go there and play with Lamar Jackson. And you're looking at plenty of wide receiver options. They just traded their best offensive lineman, Orlando Brown, to the Kansas City Chiefs. So you could go offensive lineman. The problem is you're finding yourself in a situation where there's not a ton of tackles or great offensive linemen available. But I think with the way the Ravens are run and the way they like to play offense, wide receiver are very important, yes, but I think offensive lineman is more important. That's always going to be my philosophy. Games are won and lost in the trenches, as Lucas so gracefully said earlier in the show. To me, I'm going to go with a guy with huge upside, but also a massively low floor. And it's the center / guard from Alabama, Landon Dickerson, who had some knee surgeries, had some knee injuries, but I think he is a stud. I think he could even play tackle. When you talk about Alabama's success, so much of it is successful players in the trenches, and I think he is a big reason why. And I think he's going to find himself into the first round, and I think the Ravens need to find a way to replace the success of Orlando Brown. And when you run the ball as much as they do, a receiver is nice, yes, but if Lamar Jackson's not going to develop, you might as well build off of your strengths. So Landon Dickerson for me is the pick for the Baltimore Ravens at 27. As we've said before, can never have enough offensive linemen. Matt Bushnell, Landon Dickerson to his knee issues, worry you a little too much? Did I reach here? We lost Matt Bushnell, Lucas. Lucas, do the knee issues bother you a little bit here for Landon Dickerson? I mean, I don't necessarily think so because he said he's healthy, and the pro days are all good. So I think he's good to go in my book.
I mean, anytime you're talking knees and back or just any of those joint or any place you're bending with an offensive lineman, it's a little worrisome. But yeah, I mean, if he's good to go, if everything's good to go, I like the pick a lot here to go center later in the first round for the Ravens. Good to have a good guy to come up with Lamar, even though a few years in the league, good guy to put his hands under. So yeah, I like this pick a lot, especially you're never going to see a center go that high in the first round. So I think the value here is good, especially to shore up that interior line there on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and like I said, I think the versatility is there beyond center. I think like when you look at it, like a guy like Quentin Nelson can go and play guard and tackle, and if God forbid you ever needed him to hike the ball, he could. And I think Landon Dickerson in the same aspect. And I'm not saying he's a Hall of Fame level talent that Quentin Nelson is, but I think it's possible that he is a guy that can have a ton of success in the NFL, especially in a situation like the Ravens, who added Kevin Zeitler already, who I think they need a consistent offensive line given the lack of consistency in their passing game. Matt Bushnell, number 27, I see that you're back now, went Landon Dickerson to the Baltimore Ravens, the center / guard utility offensive lineman from Alabama. Give me your quick thoughts on that before we move on.
I don't think you ever go wrong with an interior offensive lineman from Alabama. I know Jonathan Cooper, maybe it wasn't Cooper. I forget the guard that came out of Alabama a long time ago, but usually pretty reliable. Dickerson can play center or guard, which makes him highly valuable. Really good value here. I think the interior offensive line is really strong in this draft. You can get a really good one later on, but to be able to nab a guy like Dickerson here, I think it makes a lot of sense for a team that really values running the football so much.
Definitely. That's my thought process as well. And like I said, the receivers are deep. You can find value in the second and third rounds. All right, Lucas, number 28 up on the clock now. The New Orleans Saints in a post-Drew Brees world, walking in here with the combination of Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill at starting quarterback. But I still feel like they have a ton of other needs. What's your thought process at 28 for the Saints?
Too many wide receivers have flown off for me here. I don't see that as a huge need. I mean, yeah, it's a need, but not a huge need for them anyway. Decided to go with a linebacker here. I think the guy from Mizzou is maybe ranked a little bit higher, but I'm going to go with Xavier Collins from Tulsa to the Saints here. Not a huge reach, but I'm going to come up and get him. Definitely, what he won the Nagurski Award. Just a really solid player that I think Sean Payton will like a lot. I think it's just a good fit on that defense too. Smaller school guy, Tulsa. But I think that I like the fit here more than anything, especially with needing a linebacker.
I feel like the Saints always nab productive linebackers late in the first round. I actually think they're really good at that. So I actually like your thought process a ton here. And, you're playing in the Dome. You need to defend the Bucs and the Panthers and the Falcons. I really think that you can't ever have enough good linebackers. Matt Bushnell, do you think this is a little bit of a reach for Xavier Collins? Or if, you like a guy this much, you pick him no matter what?
I actually like Xavier Collins. I think he does a lot of things that, I like him. I think he should be ranked a little bit higher. I just think he provides value that you're not going to get from a lot of other positions, some other teams. Like, you could reach for a wide receiver. I agree with Lucas right there. Like, Terrace Marshall's the next best wide receiver, and I think he's ranked a little bit higher than what I would value him as. So to me, I like the pick here. It makes a lot of sense. And I could really see those back issues are keeping all of us away from Caleb Fairley now.
I almost did it, but couldn't do it.
Yeah. I'm surprised, and I also thought the LSU connection would have landed Terrace Marshall to the Saints, but nonetheless, I still love the pick here. You can't ever have a good enough tackling linebackers. But all right, Matt Bushnell, you hit the jackpot today with picks for you. Your hated Green Bay Packers coming in at 29 are on the clock, and you get to make the selection after the fiasco of the first round that they had last year when they traded up to draft Jordan Love.
Yeah, you see, this is my issue. This is my doomsday scenario. Do I want to be the bipartisan, the guy that does what's best for the team, or do I want to break out my hatred for the Packers at number 29? And my God, there is nothing I would rather love than to take Kyle Trask here at 29.
Oh, don't do that
for the Green Bay Packers.
You ruin our credibility. Don't do that.
I know. I'm not going to pull what happened last year. I promised myself that. We are not going to have this on this show. So at pick number 29, the Green Bay Packers are going to take Rondale Moore out of Purdue.
Okay. Hey, Purdue had a really entertaining offense, and Rondale Moore was a big reason why. Undersized, the guy's only 5'7". That doesn't concern you at all?
No, because what the Packers need, they have trees on the outside. And if you watch the Packers, unfortunately, like I watched the Packers this year, they need that slot guy. They need that guy to get in and out of cuts quickly, kind of take pressure off the middle. He's going to have a lot of wide open space in the middle of the field. And I think he's going to have a huge impact for the 49ers or for the Packers. And to give Aaron Rodgers that weapon is going to be so instrumental to the Packers to be able to move the ball on offense. I think this pick makes a lot of sense for them.
Yeah, like you mentioned, you already have Devontae Adams, who is one of the best receivers in the league, if not the best receiver in the league, and Marquez Valdes-Scantling on the other side. So this guy can plug right in on the slot to me and just be that quick sort of just pest for defenses, almost a Julian Edelman type, just a guy who's going to piss off other teams. And a guy, Aaron Rodgers, can get the ball too quickly. And I think that they made a mistake not picking wide receiver last year. They could have used a guy like Brandon Ayuk or someone that went after the Jordan Love pick. So they're sort of making up for the fact that they did not take a guy last season. So I like the Rondale Moore pick. You're the Vikings fan, Lucas. What do you make of this pick for your hated Green Bay Packers?
I have to agree with Matt there. They do have some taller wide receivers. I think he might be a good fit in the slot, especially after drafting a quarterback first last year and really making your current quarterback mad with that. I think you should probably go wide receiver and just make sure he's happy, even if it doesn't fit. But no, seriously, I do think that is a good fit. Undersized a little bit, but I don't think that's really going to matter. I think the Packers will find a way to use them pretty well.
Yeah, maybe pissing off Aaron Rodgers worked, though. I mean, the guy won MVP of the league, right? Sure. And Matt Nealand says that this is the new Randall Cobb, so that's a good comparison for him. Randall Cobb was really good for the Packers for a long time. All right, number 30. We're approaching the end of the first round and the end of our mock draft, which finds us at the Buffalo Bills. And I will take this pick because I am the resident New Yorker. And there's many different ways you can go here. The Bills found themselves in the Final Four. Really great season from them. Josh Allen, an MVP candidate, which nobody saw that coming. You could go and get them another receiver alongside Stephon Diggs, but I actually kind of like their weapons offensively. I think they could use an upgrade at running back, but I also think they have enough there as well. I think you need to go defense because Tre'Davious White is a hell of a corner. But after Tre'Davious White, it's not a ton to work with there on the other side. So this is where I think the guy who is dropping goes. I think you go Caleb Fairley, the corner out of Virginia Tech, and Matt, I know we had concerns about the back problems, but the good thing about this situation is that Tre'Davious White is the number one. He doesn't have to come in and be the number one. He could play safety if you needed him to. I think it's a good spot for him on an already pretty talented defense that, if he's healthy, could make them that much better. I think 30 is a good spot to take a risk like this.
Yeah, I can't get past the back issues. If he's a 2, or if he can play safety, which he may end up going to, it makes sense. Like I said, I don't know. With a guy like Aziz Azulri, and I butchered his name out there, I think that might have been a better fit for the Buffalo Bills at this point, but Fairley isn't bad. And we just lost our Facebook Live connection yet again.
Yeah, we got a good one in there for a while, but Aziz Ojulari is the guy you were trying to think his name was, which would have been a good fit for the Bills too. But I think the potential of Farley is too great there. All right, so that's 30. We got 3 picks left. Each of us have a pick. Actually, no, we do not each have a pick.
It's the last 2. And
it's the last 2, and it's Lucas and Matt, so we don't have to. If you don't want to stress to go through the Facebook Live process, that's fine. For those listening on the audio only platform, keep following with us. We'll post the entire mock draft. Matt will, or one of us will, in Football Life after the show. We can post a screenshot of it after the fact. So we appreciate all the participation up until this point, but in order to save some time, we're just going to wrap this up with the last 2 picks. And coming in with the last 2 picks, the Baltimore Ravens, their second first-round pick. 2 picks within 5 in a row. Within 5, that's you, Lucas, coming in at 31. What are the Ravens going to do here?
Well, with wide receivers and tackles flying off, I go edge here again. It seems like it's all I've been doing is picking edge guys. That's the place I think, or linebackers and defensive guys. But I'm going to go with Jalen Phillips from Miami here. Fell to them a little bit. Going to go ahead and pick him up. Athletic guy, keeps going after play, good motor, gets good off the ball. I think Baltimore really wants this guy. As I said, you can get after the quarterback, you can control a lot of the game. And I think Phillips is pretty good value here for the Ravens.
Interesting story for Phillips. Originally came out with UCLA, had some concussion problems, retired, and then unretired, and then enrolled into the University of Miami, had some success, has some injury history, and the concussion issues are a little concerning, but the talent is truly there for him. And I think he's a big-bodied pass rusher that could be beneficial for the Ravens. So I don't hate the pick at all. I actually, the Ravens are a good situation for just about any player, and I think he'll be put into a great spot with a lot of the great defensive players they already have on that side of the ball. All right, Matt Bushnell, it is time for our version of Mr. Irrelevant, the 32nd pick in the draft. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the reigning, defending, undisputed Super Bowl champions of the world. I got to admit, I don't think they need a ton. So you can kind of go wherever you'd like here, I would imagine.
Yeah, they are going to stay close to home. Obviously, they need to fix I don't think they need to fix anything because obviously they are pretty stacked roster-wise. Mm-hmm. But, Tom Brady is, 44, 45?
Approaching.
Yeah, you can't live off that and expect him to play until he's 50. Maybe he can because he's Tom freaking Brady, but they are going to take Kyle Trask out of the University of Florida.
Wow.
Oh, baby, I love it.
Okay.
I love it.
I like that a lot.
You can't live with a 40-year-old quarterback expecting him to play forever. And if Brady plays till he's 50, you can move Trask later on. But to me, you got to get the quarterback when you can.
Yeah, look, Brady's still under contract for 2 more years. So Trask, in theory, could sit behind Tom Brady for the next 3 years, which if Brady plays to 45, it's just insane. But Trask is a guy who needs to sit and develop behind someone, and literally there's nobody to sit behind better than the greatest to ever do it. I know that there's some dispute on the GOAT conversation, but regardless, the guy's won 7 freaking Super Bowls. And if you want to have success in the league, you look at that guy. There's no one with a more accomplished resume than Mr. Brady. Lucas, you said you loved the Kyle Trask pick as well. Why do you like it?
I'll be honest. I have not watched a lot of Kyle Trask. I just like the frame of mind here. To pick him up here at the end. You don't need much. I mean, like we say, stacked roster coming off the Super Bowl. I do like putting him behind Brady now. I think Brady might be like, a little bit more receptive to that. I don't think it's going to obviously set him off in any sort of way. So yeah, I like this pick a lot actually. I think if he comes in knowing you're going to sit. I mean, more so in almost any situation in the NFL. So yeah, I think this is a good project pick, and I mean you're not losing value or anything here. I don't think.
No, I like Trask. I think he's a big-bodied guy. Sort of reminds me of like a bigger Phillip Rivers, maybe a Big Ben sort of guy. Not super mobile, but also very physical, hard guy to bring down. Nice touch on the ball. Definitely needs to fix his throwing motion a little bit, but I think part of drafting a guy like that is that he will sit behind Tom Brady and learn. So I like your thought process there, Matt Bushnell. Now, good pick there, Kyle Trask. So that wraps the bow on the first round for us. How do you think we did?
Well, I mean, we had some hits and we had some misses. Obviously, I think we can take a look at if we want to disqualify the first three picks because they all got A pluses. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and Trey Lance all got A pluses. My worst pick in this draft would be the Rashawn Slater pick at number 11 with a C minus. So, we miss some. Randy, your worst pick was the Colts with Walker Little.
That's expected.
He got a C minus. And Lucas, they just hated number 9, J.C. Horn.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, it probably wasn't. It probably did not want him at all.
Yeah. But as we all know, people are wrong. So who knows about these experts anyway?
Yeah. I want to thank PFF for providing us this platform to do the draft on. We've had some technical difficulties throughout this entire show, so thank you guys for bearing with us. Before we say goodbye to Lucas, Matt Bushnell, we have some other podcasts that we do on a regular basis. Why don't you quickly tell us about them?
Yes, the Work Shoot Wrestling podcast is going tomorrow with Corey Richmond and Jason Brooks. They obviously, we have a big Thursday ahead of us, the NFL draft, the 2021 draft. We are looking to go live during those picks. So it could be a train wreck. It could be really good, but hey, stay tuned. Thursday, I will be with you. Randy may or may not be. He's kind of iffy.
I'm up in the air right now. Up
in the air. Lucas, I think you're joining us for the Vikings when the Vikings get close to picking.
Yeah, I will. Absolutely.
All right. We're going to have Jacob Anthony Moses, Henry Maldonado Jr., Vince Mercandetti, Corey Decker, Felipe Milicio, possibly. So it could be a really stacked show. We're hoping it goes well. We'll see. And then Friday evening, we have the Step Back podcast with Leon Tompkins and Jacob Anthony Moses. NBA season's winding down, getting really good. Sunday, we have the Total Basis podcast with Felipe Milicio and Sean Flannery. And then on Monday, we have Dong City with Vince Mercandetti and Henry Maldonado Jr. And then Tuesday, you guys get to see how bad our mock draft really was and how many things we got wrong.
Last year, I believe in our mocks that we got like 3 right each.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And the first 2 picks were locks of all time. We only got 3 right.
I forget who were the first 2 picks last year.
It was Joe Burrow and Chase Young.
Yeah, Joe Burrow and Chase Young. Yeah, I actually think I got Chase Young wrong.
I did too because I wanted him to go to the Giants, so I mocked him to the Giants. All right, well, yeah, check out all those podcasts, and if you like us, then you'll like all those guys as well. If you like basketball, check out the Step Back; those guys are great. And if you like baseball, for sure, check out the Total Bases and Dong City as well. And if you like wrestling, like you said, go to the wrestling group, check out the Workshoot. Lucas, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to have you and your debut here on Football Life Presents the Audible. I hope you had a wonderful time in your new admin of Football Life. So how's everything going for you right now?
Pretty good. Just just ready to get this draft started. I kind of an off time to come in. Not a lot. Oh, and now we're having things go on. Free agency kind of was about at that time too. So been a little lull for a little while. So I'm ready for some draft and training camp to come up. So.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. We appreciate you coming on and dealing with a lot of these technical problems we've had, and it's greatly appreciated for you there. So, so stay tuned Thursday. Even if I'm not here, which I'm sure you don't watch for me, regardless, Matt Bushnell is truly the star and expert analysis of the show. Be sure to check out that. I'll still be involved. I might be just doing a draft party thing, so I don't know if I can just be sitting in front of a camera doing Facebook Live the whole time, but I will be sure to react whether the Giants do something that pisses me off or do something smart, which we will see. But I'm looking forward to Thursday. This was super fun. I hope you guys had as much fun as I did, because I really enjoyed this quite a bit. We will post the results on Football Life right after the show, so stay tuned for that. If you missed this show, we're going to post the results on there. You know what? Like I said, it's the end of April. It is draft week. It is a super exciting time for football. So enjoy this. And it'll be a little bit of a lull. And then before we know it, spring training and preseason will be back. And I'm looking forward to that as well. So thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for participating wherever you are listening, however you may be listening. Thank you for making us a small part of your day. I'm Randy Hammond on behalf of Lukas Albert and Matt Bushnell saying thank you guys so much. And we'll see you on Thursday.